Mattress Money Mafia.
Welcome back to Fast Guard News. I'm your host, Roderick Payne, and today I'm here with, to me, this is a special guest, the most specialist. I'm here with another gentleman named Roderick Payne, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself. You ready to take the floor, sir?
Yes, my name is Roderick Payne Sr.
You got to speak directly into it now. Right? There you go, you good.
I'm Roderick Payne Sr. I was born in Tallahassee, Florida. Grew up in Wakulla County, Florida, which is the next county south of Leon, where Tallahassee is. And went to Shadeville Elementary School, first grade through the sixth. And then in the seventh grade, I went to Wakulla High for the 10th grade, all the way from 7 to 10. Then my last 2 years of high school, I transferred to FAMU High School in Tallahassee.
And that's where you graduated from?
That's where I graduated from. And from there, I went to Concord College, and it's Concord University now in Athens, West Virginia. And I stayed there 4 years, but I didn't get all of the courses completed in time to get a degree. So I started looking for a job. And I just started checking the newspaper. Newspapers were big back at that time. And saw a job in Bluefield, Virginia. So I decided to apply for the job. And one of the college professors at Concord University loaned me his car to go to the job interview. And it was a short time later. I can't remember the time, but some weeks later, I got hired as a police officer there in the town of Bluefield, Virginia. Okay, that is
well. Hold on. I don't want to throw off your flow, but I want you to think like this. What inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement, especially at a time when becoming a black police officer in Bluefield, it was such a historic step? Did you know at the time when you applied that there was no black guys on the force?
No, not until I got there and did the interview. And the chief, Asbury, told me that he was interested in hiring a black officer. They never had one. And I guess he did my background investigation. And from there, I got hired in July of 1980. And then I was assigned to ride with another older officer. And he did like the
FTO?
Yeah, field training, get me familiarized with the town and the geographical locations and north and south and east and west of town, where you know where you're calling in from. So
you had to go to police academy first?
No, I didn't go to the police academy until some months later.
So they hired you and you were policing the streets?
Yeah, but you with another officer that entire time.
You're like shadow phase.
Right, and until the academy comes up, then you go to the academy. I forgot, I think it was 3 months long for the academy, and down in Richlands, Virginia, Southwest Community College. And I think I graduated from there in January, in March, I believe it was. March of '81.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that atmosphere of walking into a location where nobody looked like you?
Well, it was interesting because I never had a problem getting along with people, and I didn't see things as I just wasn't. I didn't have any fear. I guess I was too young or inexperienced enough to be fearful.
Now, when you said you went to Concord College.
Yeah.
How did you get up there? Was it were you on a scholarship, academic, or?
Well, I went up there to play basketball. In that first year, they had a coach. Somerville was there, and he didn't cut anybody from the team. But I got a injury, and I don't know. I just lost my taste for it. and I just kind of gave up on myself.
What
Then
position did you play?
I would have been a forward, yeah, small forward. But I stayed in school and got most of the courses I needed. And eventually, after I finished the academy in Virginia, I went back and I can't remember how many courses I took. I was some hours short. But whatever it was, I got them enough to get a degree and got my bachelor's degree. And then I continued to work at Bluefield from July of 80 till March of 86.
Wow. So this in the 80s. How did the community react? Because this is a long time after the 60s and everything that went on with that and Martin Luther King and everything else.
Yeah.
How did they react to you during that time in the 80s, early 80s?
Well, very well. I had people to tell me that I was going to get it from the black people, get trouble from black people, and I was going to get trouble from white people because of prejudice. You know, being a police officer, black people are going to give you a hard time, and being black.
Yeah, you a sellout.
Yeah. But it wasn't that way at all. I was very well respected. I think I did a decent job. And I believe that when I left home, my grandmother, my mother, and all my family members, my dad, the little bit that they gave me was enough to bring me to any job with the right attitude and the ability to learn what I needed to learn to survive in that job. Yeah.
And that's important because a lot of people have their kids, especially nowadays, they leave home with no skills. They kept them sheltered, and unfortunately, they don't learn anything. Were there any mentors or key supporters that helped you out along the way? I know you said that somebody lended you a car or something to get to the job interview, but did you have any mentors that would help you succeed during that time? Anybody you talked to for kind of leadership?
Yeah, that was Lorenzo Griffin. He was a professor at Concord University, and that's who loaned me that car. He was a good guy. I haven't been in contact with him in a long time. I'd love to know how he's doing. But on the department, I think my main influence was Chief for one, but mostly was Sergeant Honaker. He was the supervisor on the night shift, and eventually I worked night shift for quite a while, and he told me a lot of different things. And
if you had to pick out one experience to jump out at you, one crazy story, one that you would, if this is your interview, so. What's one story that you would like to tell about Bluefield, Virginia, one experience you had up there, maybe during the night shift, because I know a lot of crazy things happen on night shift, but what's one story that you would like to be passed on? What's one thing you want to tell?
Well, I think that one of the most significant things was we got a call one night that a guy had shot his brother. And when I got there, only one person was there. He was armed with a 7mm rifle, but he was very intoxicated. He was inebriated, and I told him to put the gun down, and he didn't do it right away. But I had a shotgun, and we were only probably less than about 20 feet, say 15 to 20 feet apart.
You were behind the car.
Yeah. He was standing up beside the car. He was so drunk he couldn't get the key in the door to unlock the door of his truck. And short time later, another officer arrived, my backup, and the guy put the gun down. He fell to the ground and he started crying. I shot my brother, and I don't know what all he said. Now it's been so long ago, but we went in the house and looked at the crime scene where it occurred, and there actually had been a shooting. He had a shotgun, and it was three brothers. One was the drunk one with the gun, the other one was the victim, and one brother hit the barrel of the gun and knocked it down, This is what we learned later on. And you could see where the carpet had been torn up with buckshot. And it hit the brother in the foot. So they had took him to the hospital. And the other brother, we took him to jail eventually. We interviewed him.
And one brother was deceased at the...
No, he lived. He just got an injury to his foot.
Oh, okay.
If that brother hadn't hit that barrel of the gun, he would have shot him and probably killed him with that buckshot from the room was probably 11 by 11. It was a small room. It wasn't a huge house. But at that close range, he would have ripped him to pieces with the buckshot.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you had to pick out one thing that you were proud of in Bluefield that you did while you were on the police force, what would it have been?
We another thing stood out is we had a search warrant for a house, and it was only a few blocks from the police station, and they were supposed to be moving some drugs, mainly marijuana. So by the time we get there to do the search warrant, because you have to go through the magistrate and everything to get a search warrant, and we got up there and we did the search warrant, and we found like a coffee can, a Maxwell House can, big one. I forgot how many pounds them things hold, but it was a good size one, full of marijuana seeds. But we didn't get that many drugs out of there. Not a whole lot of. We thought we was gonna go in there and find the mother load, but it wasn't. It wasn't
that.
Yeah, but at that time, even the seeds was illegal to have all that stuff. So that was one thing. That was another thing that stood out. But fortunately, that was a small town, and there wasn't much open late at night, and you just didn't have a lot of activity. The main thing you have was DUIs.
Like a small country town.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, you dealing with DUIs, probably the traffic stops are the most dangerous thing a police officer is going to do.
Yeah.
And dealing with that during that social, racial climate of you being the first in town, were there ever any objections to you, like trying to pull over somebody? And I'm not pulling over for you, or arresting somebody in a scenario.
Yeah.
Was there anything that happened like that?
Yeah, I had a husband and wife that this was on day shift, and they started tailgating me. I'm riding along, just patrolling, and they started tailgating me. So I think I pulled over and turned the lights on. They wouldn't stop. They kept going several blocks, and then they turned off the main road and went to their house and went in the house, ran in the house and wouldn't open the door. He wouldn't open the door. And this guy was a big guy. He was a bruiser. I mean, he looked like a sumo wrestler. And his wife was a big woman too. They hauled ass in the house. But I went back and told Deputy Eddie Daniels and Dennis. Oh my God, I forgot his name now. But both of them backed me up. We went down back to the house. One went to the back, and the other guy got in a good location. And then I went and knocked on the door, and I wrote them a ticket, and we explained the situation that if they refused to sign it, we was gonna have to arrest them and take them in. The driver, which was the husband, but they got nervous when they saw the other guys there, and we did that, and that was the end of it. I guess they just paid the citation.
Yeah, but originally they was just gonna take off.
Yeah, they thought it was funny, man. They were gonna try, but. They didn't say any kind of racial stuff to me. They just was doing crazy things, man. But, that's small town mentality.
Yeah.
I can't remember those people's name. I can see their faces now in my memory.
So from there, I know you went to another police department and then finally landed in Delray Beach. Can you talk a little bit about that transition of what prompted you to exit Bluefield and go to the next department? I think it was at FAMU University, and then what ultimately led you to your transition down to Delray?
Well, I had in the interim, I had acquired a wife and a son, And the money I was making in Bluefield, Virginia, was barely enough for a single man. So when I got an opportunity to come back home and make about twice the salary that I was making there, I took it. I applied at Florida A&M University Police Department, got hired, and I stayed there a little over a year from, I think it was April of '87 through May of '88. Mm-hmm. So they had some posters up recruiting at Florida A&M from Delray Beach Police Department. So I got the application and everything and filled it out, and then they sent a team up to do an interview. Mm-hmm. One of the captains and major and city HR person, and it was about 5 or 6 people. One of the detectives, and we did the interview right there at Florida A&M. Mm-hmm. And it was some months later I got hired in Delray.
And then why do you think they were recruiting officers down there? Because this is what year, about 83, 84?
No, this was '88.
Oh, this was '88.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I was at Florida A&M from '87 through May of '88, and I think May the 16th of '88. That's when I started in Delray, and.
But what was the push for hiring? I know it was a lot going on. That was during the crack era.
Right, but Delray had a large, it's a diverse population. You got a lot of people coming in from Haiti and different South American countries and islands. And you had the Black Americans, you got the white Americans, and a little bit of various people matter of fact, people from all over the world was in Delray. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember a case where an elderly lady was getting in a car, and a guy, as she was getting in the car, he jumped in the car under the driver's seat and pushed her over and then took off with her, basically kidnapped the woman. And just so happened, it was in the zone where I was working. He come down Homewood Boulevard in Delray, and I saw the guy, and we were meeting each other, and with the woman still in the car. So I turn around and lights and siren, try to stop him. He wouldn't stop. He rode up in some neighborhood it's very convoluted back up in there. Mm-hmm. And I called it in and gave a description of the car, the tag. The main thing you do when you stop on a vehicle is LTD, location, tag, and description. Mm-hmm. And I told him where I was, and the guy jumped out of the car and ran.
You had to set up a box.
Yeah, but by that time, man, officers was coming out of the woodwork, detectives and uniform officers, man.
Delray was, and that's what I'm saying with that melting pot of people. So now you're making a transition from Bluefield, then from FAMU, which is it's a college,
right,
and then down to Delray, which during the time is a melting pot of people. But then also you got the crack epidemic that's going on, and people finding out about this drug and seeing what's going on with that. Mm-hmm. So how did that impact your employment down there? I know it had to be from a small town to a college to a crazy town with drug. How was that transition? Was it overwhelming?
Well, no, because I had experience by that time. By the time I got to Delray, I had like 6.5 years or 7 years of experience. Mm-hmm. And the main thing about Delray, in my opinion, was learning your locations, because you had a dividing line. Mm-hmm. You had a north and south and east and west. Like you could be on Southwest 1st Street, or you could be on Northwest 1st Street, or Northeast 1st Street, or Northeast 1st Street. So getting the locations down was the big deal for me. Once I got that down, doing the police work, because we had that to me, that was my pinnacle in law enforcement, because that department was well trained, and the pay was good, and you got a lot of experience doing different things. So
how much was that pay increase? when you came down?
Oh my goodness! From FAMU to Delray was about $10,000.
Right at once. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
big deal.
that's a big hit for me at that moment. I was very pleased. I was very pleased with the pay.
So when you were in Virginia, of course, there were drug addicts. There are drug addicts everywhere.
Yeah.
But with the whole thing with the crack, like it hit like a mad wave, and there was a lot of stuff going on then. How did your policing style have to differ? You're not just dealing with people you see all the time in a small town.
Yeah.
You're dealing with, or is policing wherever you go?
Yeah, it's basically that. It's just a scale. It's just like you go from junior high to varsity in sports. You start out in a small town. There was drugs there. We made some drug arrests. I made one or two, and also little stuff like peeping toms and shoplifting, stuff like that. But in Bluefield, Virginia, one of the drug arrests I made was I went to a call about a peeping tom, and somehow this lady get this call from this guys, and they wanted to meet up with her, and we told them to have them meet them at the high school, which because it's a central location, easy to find in the town. And went over there, and we stopped the guys to check them out and see what was going on with them, and eventually found out that they had drugs in the car, which was marijuana, and we arrested them for that. So that was a case. That was kind of funny, humorous, yeah.
What was the greatest public safety challenge that Delray Beach had at the time? They trying to beef up the amount of officers they got, obviously the amount of black officers they got, and bring in some diversity. But what was their biggest challenge? Was it that the white officers that were currently policing the community not providing enough assistance, or they didn't have identity that would relate well to the community at large, or?
Well, we had the guys I work with, man, I'd put them up against anybody, anywhere, anytime. I really admired working there and working with those guys because the majority of them were good guys, and they did a good job, and you could depend on them to back you up. But the main thing that was hot at Delray when I first got there, and for a few years after that, was the drug problem. Yeah, because crack was
spreading like wildfire.
It was like a epidemic at that time.
And it wasn't like that in Virginia or in Tallahassee.
No, you had drugs there, but it was on the periphery of the campus. I made one drug arrest. Some guys were up on the set. Used to be the main fairway throughway, at Florida A&M. The girls' dorms was over here on the hill, and this guy matter of fact, they were from down in South Florida. They come up through there. They were ball players from, I think they were headed back to Mississippi or somewhere to play ball. But one of them was sitting in the car. The other guy had went up and talked to a girl, and I told him, I said, hey, you can't just park the car in the middle of the street like that. You're going to have to move. So I went down, come back up the set. He's still sitting there. And when he saw me coming, he was sitting in the middle of the seat. By this time, it was a bench seat in the car. And he took off driving the car from the middle of the seat like this. He didn't want to get out of the
seat.
Yeah. So turned the lights on, stop him. And they had several $1,000s in cash and some drugs, and we made that arrest. And
but like now you talking about like that was at FAM, but back down in Delray, now you're going to, most of the arrests that you're making are dealing with either drugs or something dealing with drug money, or so now how did that impact working with police officers? Because just like anything else, when it's a drug epidemic, sometimes police officers get caught up in the mix, either buying, selling, or using.
Yeah.
You know, and so that impacts the police department too. I know when I was a police officer, there were a couple of guys, not with drugs, but they had these gambling houses, and a lot of guys got popped trying to do extra work, they getting paid like they armed security when like off duty, but these are criminal organizations. So you know, I know that if that impacted now, it happens. You got officers. One officer got caught on a cruise ship about 2 years ago, taking a bag full of Skittle. They were all ecstasies. He was going on there to sell ecstasy. A current active police officer. So drugs always affect either you got guys selling it or using it. Do you remember anything that stands out to you during that time, especially with crack, something that you try one time and you're hooked?
Well, there's always going to be fallout. You're going to get people that fall by the wayside. In Bluefield, Virginia, there was an officer just prior to me being hired had got in some kind of situation. I don't know all the detail. I can't recall it now, but he was let go. And but at FAMU we didn't have that situation. I was only there a short time though. I was only there just a little over a year. So then in Delray, we had a couple of situations where people got let go for, like one guy was from New York, I think it was, and he went out with his buddies when he got back on vacation. He went back home, and I think when they would test your urine randomly. They just put a note in your mailbox to go take a blood. But see, drugs never really affected me like that. This is why I believe that when I left home, I was already strong enough and built up enough not to fall to a lot of temptation. So I never really got into drugs like that. That didn't faze me. And doing stuff illegal, that, it didn't faze me because we had people that was trying to take favors for, they stop somebody for a traffic violation and maybe, hey, if it's a lady, you want to, you got to get her to get involved in some kind of a personal situation with you to get out of the ticket. And so that happened. And we've had some suicides. There was a couple of suicides there, 2 or 3 of them, I think.
Of officers?
Officers that committed suicide.
One... Now, Go ahead. You about to
I think one of them's wife committed suicide, allegedly.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. Was there anything during your tenure at Delray, like any type of operation that you may have been involved in, or a buy situation or something like that you were involved in that kind of stands out down there? Because with so much crime going on in the city, I think it creates the opportunity for creative policing. Where you have to have undercovers and you run stings and reverse stings. Is there anything that stands out to you that you did while you were there?
Yeah, we did some of that too because we had some hot spots in town where they were selling drugs. I mean, it's just like hotcakes. That's just a saying, but literally they were selling drugs big time. So we would take over that spot. We would go in there undercover and dress in some sweatsuits and stuff and have police officers a short distance away where they could visually see us. And when the guy come by and buy this simulated cocaine that we would sell, the crack, whenever they buy it, and then about a block later, we take our hat off. If he or she made a purchase, we take our hat off and let signal to them stop that car. And you get arrested for,
So you guys didn't get any pushback from the local drug dealers claiming their turf?
No, they didn't want to get into it. We made it so hot in Delray that they eventually moved up to Boynton Beach, which is the next city north of Delray Beach. Delray is sandwiched between Boca Raton, Florida, and Boynton Beach, Florida. And a lot of them guys, we put so much
I'm
heat.
talking about when y'all was out there doing the revert, when y'all was doing the buys and y'all was acting like y'all was selling.
No,
Ain't nobody
all
gave y'all
them,
no flack.
no, all them guys knew who we were. They cleared out when they saw us coming, even out of uniform. They knew who we were.
So they seen the police coming setting up. There was no cell phone back then, so they couldn't even warn their clients.
Hey, it was like a ghost town. And when we
they couldn't even warn the clients. No. The clients come and get popped.
They cleared out.
Wow.
Because they knew we put some heat on them, man. We had some really enthusiastic guys, some guys that were diligent and had integrity, and it was just a good situation. We cleared Delray. If you go to Delray now, it don't look nothing like when I first went there. The night that when you was with me, when we first drove off of 95 into Delray on Atlantic Avenue to go to the police station, man, it looked like a canopy. It was so many people on both sides. This was on a Sunday night. It was so many people on both sides of the road, all about a block from 95, 2 blocks from 95, covered with people on both sides all the way down till you get about a block away from the police station.
And then
they'd hang out.
With big cities like that, especially like you ended up retiring from there in 2005.
Yeah.
And during that time, you see a lot of tragedy. You see the superstar athlete that had the promising career going forward that gets killed, that gets shot, and it's all over. You see the mother that was doing well for her family, beautiful girl, get hooked on crack, and now she out in the street trying to live that life. You see innocent people get shot. There's a lot of transition. So because now 2020, it's 2025, so that was 20 years ago you retired.
Yeah.
What has policing changed from then till now, do you think? I mean, from your perspective.
I think it's changed in some ways with technology, because technology was just coming in near the end of my tenure at Delray. I know that there was a company, I can't recall their name, that had a thing called an MP5. It looked like a flashlight. But what it would do, what the intentions were, like if you stopped somebody and you were suspicious about them or they didn't have the proper ID, you go get this thing and they put their thumbprint or index finger on there, and it could identify, if they had a criminal history, it would identify them. So that was one of the steps. Then you hear about they had cameras in the vehicles before I left Delray. Computers in the vehicles, printouts where you could type in and you could slide, just like sliding a credit card. You slide somebody's driver's license, and they put out all their information on this citation. And so when you were in Bluefield, y'all just had pen and a pad. Yeah.
And a radio. The radio was, I know those radios back in the day was big.
Yeah, it was a pretty good sized radio, but Delray had some obsolete radios. But shortly after I got there, they had to re-up, and it was a very hefty price tag I think we went to Motorola, but those radios were very thin and small and worked very well too. Had a bunch of channels on them, so you could switch over in tactical channel, and when we run tags and everything, we switch over to talk to dispatch on a different channel, then you wouldn't tie up the main channel. But technology is a lot different. Computer crimes and stuff was on the rise near the end of my career. We had one detective that was concentrating on computer crime. So that is a whole nother can of worms there, because you could be in Switzerland and doing a crime in the city. Yeah. So.
What do you think current modern departments, what do you think that they're struggling with now? The biggest thing that you can see probably the issue, even with law enforcement officers that they hire. Like, who are they hiring now? Are they hiring those same caliber guys?
I think it's probably a lot of good officers, because you mostly hear when somebody does something way wrong, then that's the ones you hear about. It's very sensationalized. Like, there was a lady that ran a crime lab out in I think it was Oklahoma, and she was manipulating the stuff to get convictions for the officers, and eventually caught up. So a lot of people got off the hook that had been arrested and convicted and incarcerated during that tenure.
Yeah, the case got to get thrown out.
Yeah, and so that's just like with that situation with OJ. That's another thing that changed during my tenure at Delray, because this was in '93 or '94 when that OJ Simpson trial came up, and then the state changed these laws about. It was a whole different ball game as far as domestic violence, because there was frequently domestic violence, and in all the places that I've worked. But Delray was a larger population, so you got a larger
naturally it's
right. It's more of it. But we used to be able to go to a house and the man may leave, or both of them would be there. The man and the woman would be there, and she'd say, "Well, we had an argument, but he didn't do anything." But you may see a cut on the arm, or swollen eye, or some sign of that there's been furniture rearranged, or lamps broken, or whatever, plates thrown around. It could be anything in a situation like that. But we may be able to, if they calm down and then they deny that anything was going on, we may leave. Short time later, we may have to come back. But after that OJ situation came up with that murder trial, the double homicide thing, the states, a lot of states, and Florida changed their laws. So if we went there's a package you have to fill out when you go to a domestic violence situation. It was a lot more paperwork, and you had to get the crime scene guys to come there and photograph it. I went in one house and it looked like a tornado had went through there. The man and the wife had got into it, and there was dishes broken and furniture all torn up and blood, and it was a terrible situation. And this was in a well-to-do neighborhood, but I don't know what she had done or he had done to cause all of this anger between them. But they really got it on, because they did big time damage to their house, but to the interior. But you had it where if you saw signs of violence, somebody had to go to jail.
Somebody going to jail. Even when I was a police officer, there was no, if there's a bruise or some stuff moving around, and some officers tried to use discretion, and ask people to leave. But if I'm there, I see it, we're gonna make a determination on what happened, because sometimes you get called by a female and the male's not saying anything, but he was actually the victim. She's trying to protect herself. So there's a lot of different things that happen, but yeah, usually somebody's going to jail. And you want to make sure you're safe on that, because those are also dangerous, because you could walk in and they arguing, they beat up each other, but then you come and start getting aggressive with the male, trying to protect her. And then she'll get aggressive.
She jump on your back.
I've
had that happen. I've seen that happen. They didn't actually jump on me, but they jumped on one of the other officers that was backing me up. The female, when we started to arrest the guy, the female jumped on the officer's back, and he had done tuned her up good.
So from your transition,
that was in Bluefield, Virginia.
Yeah, in your transition, law enforcement is always going to be a bunch of crazy stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You transitioned out of that in 2005. You say you're going to hang it up. You're going to retire. That lasted for a little while, and then shortly after, you kind of jumped into bouncing around and assisting at other departments. Then you got into private security.
Yeah.
So during that transition, like dealing with private security, what advantage? Because did you work any private security details or anything when you were in law enforcement?
Yeah. They when the coal miners would go on vacation, the mines are shut down, and they got a lot of equipment, and the mines are there. So sometimes they'd hire police officers to go and work the mines. To do security at the mines and make sure nobody come in and vandalize or stole. They had some $1 million equipment there.
And that's back then.
Yeah. Now
So-
that's been way back then, 1980, from 80 to 87. Yeah, but I did that, and let's see. I think that's the main thing I did off duty.
Just kind of,
Yeah.
and that's where security and law enforcement really are the same. I mean, it's the same job. The only difference is the amount of power you have because you're connected with the radio. But other than that, security, I think, and law enforcement will definitely prepare you for a security degree. You're overtrained.
Absolutely.
Career, you're overtrained.
Yeah.
But security will also kind of transition you into a law enforcement career, because if you're doing security very well and you understand the concepts, then you're kind of ready to make that next transition into law enforcement.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't make that leap. Once you transitioned into private security, what are some common security issues businesses or individuals kind of underestimate with private security from law enforcement, from coming from law enforcement? Like, what are they not doing right with a lot of security guards? Why do you hear so many dumb situations happen? Do you think it's a vetting problem?
A lot of people that get into security work probably have had difficulties. So there are a lot of guys that's in security work that want to be police officers, but they don't meet the qualifications for whatever reason. It could be some criminal history that they've had, or they couldn't pass the psychological test, or various other reasons, you know. Then you got some guys that get over their fanatics. That's what I call them. But you see them dressed like police officers. They have lights on their cars.
They got more lights than the real
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Hold on. How many badges do they got on?
Yeah, they got badges and everything, man.
I said on a few episodes ago, I said, man, when it comes down to guys, I always know I'm dealing with a nutcase when I see a guy with more than one badge on.
You got some people that are really, really. I can't think of the medical term for them, but they're out there. I wouldn't say they're moron, but they have these delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
And they not qualified. They
Nah,
more than
they're
likely
they're morons.
they wouldn't even get hired as a security guard.
Yeah.
But they really desperately want the job. They
Yeah.
desperately
Think
want
about that guy that me and you both knew during your security tenure. They had a police radio. Do you remember? He was just a little bit off subject because I
Yeah.
gotta ask you something else.
Okay.
But I remember the guy was out there and he had the radio while he was working on site. You know, sometimes we pull up
A
on
monitor.
sites. Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching. We doing some surveillance.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this guy. I see the guy listening to the radio.
Yeah.
And then I see him run to his car, and then he runs back to post, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? So he told us that he was a community service aide.
Don't call out the name of the city.
And I ain't gonna say, I don't want to embarrass it, but he said he was a
Get a
community
lawsuit.
service aide, but he was allowed to be armed because he was grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And he had like a vest that said his name, and it had the city name. He had all these patches, and he had a police like radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, yeah, sometimes when it's something hot, I might have to go and respond. I was like, you gonna leave the post? You gonna leave our job to go respond to something?
Come on,
yeah,
man.
You know, it's part of the.
As a
you're-
community service.
You're a police officer. Now he said he's armed, so he acts as a police officer. He was grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And then a
Yeah,
few
the
months-
terminology right, but
A few months later, I remember looking on the news and it was his picture, and they said, "Man arrested for
running lights and sirens.
man arrested for impersonating a police officer." And I knew that's what it was when I seen he was running to the car talking about he might have to respond to.
Yeah.
You gonna respond somewhere on a shift
Come
for
on,
fast
man.
guard? Absolutely
Come on,
not. But
come on, man.
back to what I wanted to ask. So, okay, ready to go. What advice would you give today's security officer that wants to transition or wants to work with the same amount of professionalism and integrity and discipline as a police officer? What would you want to tell today's security professionals who want to operate with that same level of integrity and discipline?
The main thing is, I think, being on time, looking professional, and be willing to learn. Be willing to listen to your instructions and carry out those instructions to the best of your ability. Because you got a lot of people that get on these security details and do some cockamamie, off-the-wall, unbelievable stuff that, I mean, it just don't make sense.
Yeah, I've seen guys beat guys up. They put on a badge.
Yeah.
I've seen a security guard chase a guy down, jump out the car, and try to punch through the window because the guy cut him off in traffic.
It's crazy.
It's these things. It's like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Steroids. We'll talk about it in another episode because that definitely affects a lot of guys' judgment.
Discharging firearms,
showing girls the gun and the gun going off, blowing roofs off cars and with fire.
Come on, man. Remember the situation down there in Dade County, Florida, a few years back, where a bouncer at a nightclub, I mean, he pounded this guy, and the guy ended up in like in a coma.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I never did follow up on that case, but it was in the news quite a while when I was living down here.
Yeah. And, in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredibly stupid.
That's
That's not your job.
Yeah.
You don't get any points beating up on drunk people. Yeah. But I see that happen a lot. So as you transition into security, like you said, it's the guys have to be. You got to be on time in security. Yeah. Law enforcement forces you to be on time. Either if you're not on time, you probably won't have a job for long.
Eventually, it'll catch up with you.
That's the main thing.
They progressively document what you do. They may give you a letter of reprimand, and then the next step, it may be time off without pay, and then eventually they can work up to termination. And you have to go to another department, look for a job. So you don't want to be late, and you want to look good. You want the car to be clean. You want your clothes to be clean, and your person to be clean, because you're dealing with the public. A lot of stuff that we've done.
Got to be a professional.
Yeah, you dealing with crowd control at FAMU. Football season. It's huge.
You got some cities that don't experience that level of influx of people.
You talking about 20,000 or more people in a very small area, and a lot of them not in the game. They just around the periphery of the college, around the university, and large crowd control situation there. And then you got your VIPs, the college president, and other staff members, and you never know when you're going to have celebrities there. Like I met Bootsy Collins when I was working in Alabama. I escorted the president to the Iron Bowl, and
you met the baseball player
Hank Aaron.
Mr.
Hank Aaron was a very gracious person, and I met Betty Wright.
And she's a local Miami.
Yeah, she was, and very talented woman. Remember, she was on Puff Daddy's thing when they were making the band. She was helping out with the voice coaching and stuff. She was get put on a good show too, because she came to that town, Talladega, where I was working, and did a show there, and it was a packed house. And it was a good show because I had to kind of stand down. Me and another officer had to stand right at the bottom of the stage there to kind of keep the crowd controlled.
That's another security. Yeah. That's another way that law enforcement is like security. That you're there. I think that people give a lot of respect to law enforcement when they see them out, because they know that there's a flip side to it. They hit that button, the whole world coming.
Right.
I think that same type of respect should be given to security professionals if they carry themselves in a professional manner and
Right.
act professional. But they get out there dancing and stuff and then trying to enforce something. The two things don't go together.
Or allowing people to shoot them with a taser.
Joking around,
Yeah.
yeah.
I call that silly putty. You got guys that get on the job and it's just like kids, man. They
Yeah.
get in the class, they want to be the class clown.
Let somebody
but that's
tase
not
you
the
with a taser.
situation to be a class clown.
No,
it's
you're
not.
there as a professional. This is
Absolutely.
your job. That's one thing police officers are also good at: securing the bag, making sure the business is handled when it's time to have business.
Absolutely.
Handled. What does it mean to you personally to have been a barrier breaking in Bluefield police officer and being frontline officer during one of the most turbulent eras in American policing during the crack era, being frontline? So you finish that, you come out unscathed and able to retire. What does that mean to you, and what would you like to share to people? Because I only interviewed 2 police officers on here thus far, with you and Simon, 2 people that I have the utmost respect for.
Yeah.
But not just that, it's 2 people that have walked the walk and talked the talk at a time when it wasn't easy. You were the barrier breakers that would allow me to transition into law enforcement, get in law enforcement, because had it not been for you guys doing the right thing and shining and retiring,
Yeah.
that's like when you look at a person DD-214 when they get out the military. For a long time, I didn't know what that meant. You look at this stuff, but when you see dishonorably discharged, you got a blemish. When you hear guys say, "Hey, man, I'm an ex-police officer."
Yeah.
No, I'm a retired police officer.
Yeah.
You're an ex-police, your ass got fired. So there's something that you didn't do. There's a lot of ex-police
Or
officers.
did. You either derelicted duty or you went outside of the scope of being a police officer and did something heinous. Yeah.
Now, for other, is there anything that you want to, what does it mean to you personally, being that barrier breaker and being that legend? Essentially, you came through, did the job, and retired.
Well, I was very happy to get the job, because anytime you go after something and you achieve or ascertain that thing that you were aspiring to, you feel good about it. And then you get experience on the job, and it helps you in the next job. You come in with experience. And when I moved back to Florida from Virginia, it made a difference in the pay scale too. Because if you had a college degree and you had so many years experience, the pay scale jumped up a few $100s a month, and then eventually, in the total of years that you put in, and when you get ready to retire, all that stuff makes a difference.
Accumulate.
Yeah.
And so, what advice would you give young brothers and sisters that's trying to come into the law enforcement career, being a black man in law enforcement, going through being the first in one area, then going down to another area? What would you give, people that want to get involved in security and law enforcement, if this is the career you want, and you're a person of color, you need to consider these things when going in?
Well, just be a person of integrity, learn what that means, and do the job the way it should be done, because you're going to be trained. That's one thing I can say about the academy in Virginia, the academy in Florida, because I had to do some crossover stuff when I came back to Florida. And the training is going to give you the parameters which you work in. And I had some really good teachers at the academy. I remember a couple of guys were FBI agents. They came down and taught us like the Constitution and stuff like that. Were really good. I still remember those guys. I can see their faces now, because they left such an indelible mark on my memory, because their teaching abilities were superior. They were superb. You can't forget some of that stuff they taught you. And some of it you may never get a chance to use, and some of it may take years before you use it. But you can always go back and rely on what they taught you at that time. But the main thing, let me also mention, when I was at Del Rey, first they started out with the Just Say No thing with President Reagan and Nancy Reagan, and then
Just
eventually,
Say No. Oh, yeah.
which is, that was the beginning.
What's so hard about that?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not as easy. It's easier said than done. But then they came up with the DARE program. I think somebody out of Los Angeles Police Department developed that program, and I think it was a collective effort. It wasn't just one person. I think one person came up with the idea to make it a little bit more involved, and then other people came along and assisted them with whoever the team was that put it together. It was a really good program. I worked with the DARE program in school for years, for about 15 years when I was at Del Rey, and I loved it because the kids make you feel so good, and you may be doing something that'll help that kid not get into a situation or get abducted or get molested or
educating the kid where his parents might not have. And that's I think that's a big thing, educating the young community like that. That's what really this show is about. It's just a lot of educational. I think of situations that you've been on in the security world after the transition. I remember the famous trip to we went to Houston. Went to Houston for the All-Star weekend.
Right.
And that was a wild ride. We made a lot of money over there. That was one of my major intros into like
that was
security.
a highlight.
That was a highlight, man. We went over there and they said, run this.
We took our team and we had some good just about everybody on that team was in law enforcement.
We took that everybody in law enforcement. Went up there, ran the team, made money, came back home safely during, quite possibly.
With the bag.
We seen all the rappers that was there. You name it. They was there. NBA players.
Jamie Foxx.
Akon. Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban was there.
Man, it was crazy.
It was a smorgasbord of celebrities at that event. It was the All-Star game.
Trina was French there. Montana.
French Montana.
Yeah, we were doing the bodyguard detail out there
Absolutely.
with French Montana and Trina at the time. And
a lot of athletes were there too, professional football players.
Yeah, it's All-Star Week, man.
That was NBA All-Star Week in February of 2012, I think it was. I think I still got my some kind of little laminated lanyard that
we got from out there.
I got it in my briefcase.
And you went and did that job, that private security job with the young lady Jocelyn. You went out there. I think you was in Beverly Hills with it. These little highlights. It's so much have been done during your tenure, and that's why I said, man, you're a legend to me. So I want to definitely get you on here and we could talk about that. There's a bunch of other stories that we have that we can share together just in security. So I want this to be a first of many. But if you wanted people to give the people something to remember you by, like before you get off the show today, what would that be? What does it mean to be Roderick Payne Sr.?
That's difficult. I think the greatest lesson that I've learned in life, and I learned it a long time ago, but long before I left home, was to love yourself. Because if you love yourself, then you can love others, and I think it draws love and a certain caliber of people to you. And I think that's the most important thing I could teach my grandkids, and I hope I taught it to my two sons. And anybody I come in contact, if we get in a conversation, I try to bring that up.
Love yourself.
Love yourself first. You got to love yourself first. If you don't, it opens up the door for all kinds of skullduggery and difficulties, and you get in a quagmire of mess. And
because you don't love yourself.
Because you don't love yourself. You fall for anything, you get swayed by this, you back and forth. Just keep it steady, slow and steady. Love yourself first, and then I think everything else. I also heard a thing somewhere along the way. I don't remember who told me this, but it said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And
I love that saying.
I love that too. I love it. I need to put it down. I'm gonna research and find out who said that first, but it's true. When you put yourself in a good predicament, there's gonna be people come to your aid that you never suspected. You didn't even ask for it, some of it. And they see that you are on a certain path, and they want to help augment that and take you to another level. And when you're fortunate, that happens. I've had that happen several times in my life. Just like the college professor that loaned me his car
To get to the
job
and
interview. I'll
ultimately
never forget that guy. And matter of fact, I need to try to do some research and see where he is now. I'd love to
Send him a card,
see how he's
man.
doing.
Say
Yeah,
hello.
yeah.
Okay.
But that was the first step, was getting to the interview, putting in the application, and getting to the interview, and he made it easy for me, and he trusted me with his car.
Man,
Yeah.
that's huge. And that's going to do it for us here on Fast Guard News. If you need armed security, unarmed security, fire watch, employee termination security, give us a call at 844-254-8273. If you want to find us online at www.fastguardservice.com, you can reach us there and get an instant quote. Thank you again. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's Mac, it's Money Mafia.